Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanim. So let's begin here on ripple.com. By the way, I'm putting chapters in here so you can jump around if you would like. I'm going to be covering a lot of different topics today. Okay, so they have an article here and they're talking about the Mena region in Africa. We all know that's big money. Why is it big money? Well, first of all, we've been setting up corridors there for years now, and hopefully once we have regulatory clarity, everyone's going to be pumping money into those corridors. Of course, I do believe firmly they're going to be using on-demand liquidity, which is huge because we want a huge chunk of that oil money flowing through XLM, XRP, Hedera, Algorand. Well, let me remove Hedera because right now in that region, Algorand is heavy there. XRP is heavy there in XLM. Okay, so let me just put the people out front that are there. Don't get me wrong. You know, if we look at Africa as a whole, we know that Hedera is working with a bevy of banks in Africa, especially the largest one by assets in South Africa. So we know Hedera is also there. But I want them to bring a couple more banks on board before I really put them into that classification and build a few more corridors before I put them in that classification with XLM, XRP, and Algorand, who at least last year were very open about all these corridors that they were building over there in the Mena region and throughout Africa. Also, let me just throw in so I don't leave people out. I believe also in South Africa and a few other parts of Africa, Cardano is there. So even though Cardano is not a bank coin, they're also there. But I believe that they were being utilized as a traceability protocol by ScanTrust at the time. We'll see if they expand their use cases. But until then, Cardano is in there, but they're not a bank coin. All right. So, but I just want to not leave them out because I know Cardano people are probably like, hey, Alphanim, Cardano's in there also. They definitely are. And Cardano is a solid project. I don't hold Cardano, but it's a solid project. I can respect good projects. Let's move on here. This second sentence is key, but there's a lot of deception that goes on when it comes to the bank coins because they have to deal with a delusional legacy system that wants everyone to agree with them. They only want yes men. And if you're not going to yes man the legacy system, they're not going to work with you. So understand a lot of what Ripple has to do is tell the legacy system what they want to hear and spread their agenda and their message. But listen to this here. It says, as the world increasingly trends toward green energy solutions and profits from oil exports decline, many Mena countries are looking to diversify their economies away from fossil fuels. All right, so I'm just going to take, let's take Saudi Arabia, some of the countries that are actually producing oil. There's no way that they're going to give up their oil riches. Not going to happen. No. This is Ripple just saying what the banks want to hear. That's it, because the banks are pushing the green agenda. And I understand why Ripple is doing that, but I have to wholeheartedly disagree. That oil money is going to come. What they're doing now is a restructuring happening. So now, instead of trading oil massively, as you saw with certain presidential interactions with the rulers of Saudi Arabia, right? When they came together and they said, no, we're refusing to give you any more oil. They could have done that if they really wanted to. They can increase their capacity at any time that they please, right? Don't believe the lies. And they can build any time that they want in order to increase capacity, but they're not going to do that with someone who's trying to injure their money. If you're saying that, hey, we're not going to use that particular product anymore and they can't make money off of it, why would we help you if you're going to take money out of our pocket? That's what they're thinking. But what I'm saying is, with this restructuring, so certain reserves or certain productions are going to move away from the predominant societies like United States and Europe, and they're going to be trading with other BRICS nations. So Saudi Arabia probably is going to increase their trading, their selling of oil to, let's say, like between them and Russia to them. You saw them purchase some oil from Russia, but they're keeping reserves. So it's a strategic thing, right? So it's all about money and saving money and how much their oil costs versus ours. But they're going to be doing that between nations that are oil friendly. That's not going to change. And I can't possibly fathom that any developing nation, let's say like India, China, is going to shirk oil when it's a huge part of their rise to power, right? They're not going to do that just yet. And they have no reason to bend to the banks since they're sort of becoming outlaws, right? So the BRICS nations are becoming outlaws. So because of all the sanctions and things. They see what certain entities did to other entities, right, who are at war with each other. I have to be careful on YouTube, everyone, so I hope you understand what I'm saying. So they don't want to be sanctioned also. So that's why everyone's pulling back preemptively and saying, hey, let's get something going on here. Well, we're outside of their system and they can't weaponize their dollars. They can't weaponize oil against us, things of that nature. So they're sort of outlaws. So the banks can't control them. What does that mean when it comes to the money? That means that money is still going to be in circulation, but only a few are going to win. So with the bank coins being involved there, and because of decentralization, they can't do anything about who utilizes them, right? It's just simple as that. All you need is a few engineers, a few technical experts, build your own infrastructure, and you could buy all the XLM if you really wanted to. You could buy a huge chunk of that and just use it in your private ecosystem, correct? So there's always the advent of things like that. So that's something else to keep your eye out for. But what I'm saying is, because the XRPL and XRP are already embedded in some of those regions that aren't really having a problem with everyone. Let's say like Saudi Arabia and such like that. They're not really having a problem with anybody, right? They're kind of at a neutrality right now. But that money will flow into the XRPL. And what does it do to that price when you have trillions of dollars flowing through it per day, possibly, no guarantees, from the oil industry? It's decentralized. Anybody can use XRP. And even if they couldn't, even if it was centralized, you think they're going to reject those trillions of dollars? That would be so foolish. What does it do to that price? What does it do to that price? So now you have oil money that could be flowing into XRP, XRPL. They built the corridors already. We went over that multiples of videos. Ripple itself showed you the documents of them building in this region. They're here talking about it right now once again. So that money is going to come. You have real estate money from around the world that's going to be flowing into it. That's only going to grow, especially as now people are buying more real estate in a variety of developing places. Like I told you before, people are buying up real estate in Latin America, buying up real estate in Africa. They're starting small businesses in these particular regions as well. So you're going to have payroll rolling across those blockchains. You're going to have real estate value rolling across those blockchains. I like to say this often because there's so many people that don't understand that. They don't know how much money is going to be flowing into these particular assets. Trillions upon trillions of dollars, potentially. Hopefully everything continues to go according to plan. Now, also, the absolute implosion lately of the banking system, as I was telling you all last year that the banking system is terrible, the absolute implosion of the banking system lends to the rise. This is why they call XRP the Phoenix. It lends to the rise of the bank coins. It's not just XRP. All of the bank coins are going to win. Various degrees, right? Various prices. You have to set the prices for yourself. You have to make decisions for yourself, but they're all going to explode because the banking system has been, let's say, they've been getting hacked. They're vulnerable. They have a liquidity crisis on the horizon. I mean, it really is already a liquidity crisis, but because the central banks have been printing excess amounts of money, they're giving the illusion that there's not a liquidity crisis. That's an illusion. Sooner or later, when they turn that money printer back on, they're going to arrive at the same problems once again. They change nothing. So they slow down, printing of money for a while. They raise basis points and interest rates, such, right? Things come down for a while. People get excited. They turn on the money printer again. They start printing money some more, and then inflation is back. Then things skyrocket again. Once again, it's a temporary solution, and they haven't provided a permanent one. I was going to say something, but let me not say that at this particular time. So anyway, the banking system has been having its fair share of struggles. Not only that, the monetary policy of the central banks has been absolutely terrible, and they're looking at a liquidity crisis. They can't continue to just buy everything in sight. So you saw like the Fed was buying everything to save all of these businesses. They can't continue to do that because then essentially the Fed is printing money, right? Putting money out there, and then once everyone, all these companies do a bad job, the Fed comes in, they buy certain things up. So it's like they're paying themselves. Like, it can't be like that. You can't be the only one that's taking action in an economy. That's just the strangest thing. It can't be that way. It can't be that way. That has heavy implications. It really, really does to show this power that the Fed has over everything. The central banks have over all of these things. This is why the BRICS nations are shirking that particular system. Now, keep in mind, you have money that's going to be coming into the bank coins from the BRICS nations. Make no mistake about it. Decentralization means that they can use these particular assets, and a lot of them, I believe, will. Also, keep in mind that of the BRICS nations, Saudi Arabia doesn't have huge problems with everyone. And even though a lot of first world countries say that they have problems with China, they still interact with China massively. Most of the products coming into these developed countries are coming from places like China. All right, so they have a lot of power. They're going to have to continue to deal with China, so they can't penalize China the way that they would someone else that they haven't had to deal with too heavily. It doesn't affect their daily lives. Well, actually, it found out now that even if you do penalize entities that you believe that maybe they won't have such a high effect on their daily, such a negative effect on the civilians' daily lives, it actually does. There are far-reaching consequences to go against any of these developed countries, right? But what I'm saying is, money will flow out of BRICS nations into the bank coins and out of the developed world into the bank coins. So there's almost no losing at this particular time. Now, but Ripple has to say these things in order to appease the central banks. They want to hear you say that everything's going to be green, even if it's not true. They want to hear you push the agenda because they feel like if you even have a little tiny bit of power, they want to use it. They want to access it. That's how they feel. So now let's continue on here. And it says sneak peek at our internal Slack with at MoneyGram status report from at Mark Hanen. Happy Friday. And it says successful cash out this week in Suriname, Kyrgyzstan, and Venezuela. True global reach. Yes, here's the thing. What they're doing, it takes like seconds to do. So we don't know the amounts. And I say this because I know a lot of people are going to say, well, why didn't the price move? We don't know the amounts that they sent, number one. Number two, this happens in seconds. As I iterated before, you need a consistent high value and a consistent high volume. You have to have volume. This is not going to produce volume. It's just boom, boom. So it's near instant finality. It's barely going to make a blip. So this is why I always say that for the bank coins to rise, the banks will have to step in. When the banks step in, that's the only time the bank coins are going to rise. You can't expect little tests like this to move anything, right? It's the same thing that XRP did a few times this year and last year, where they're sitting large amounts. It's happening in a few seconds. Boom, 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 boom. It's not consistent high volume, number one, and it's not going to be consistent high value. So, if you have trillions of dollars per day, let's say, looking at it in another way, if you had trillions of dollars per day flowing through the XRPL or XLM from a myriad of banks, large business institutions, you throw in a few dollars from retail, moving money back and forth, okay? So now you have consistency, that price will start to move. You have a consistent volume, that price is going to start to move. You have a consistent price that's higher than where it is now. Now that price is going to start to move. That's what you need, right? So you're not going to see anything from this. So what they're letting you know is that's just that they've been testing in. Everything is going good. That's what they're trying to. That's what they're trying to convey, without sparking the market and causing FOMO. A lot of companies are laying low. They don't want that regulatory spotlight on them. They don't want to get sued by the SEC or another governmental entity. They don't want to be taken to court. So they're laying low. They're trying not, and they're also trying not to put out too many announcements, too many big announcements, because that will put a spotlight on them. So you don't see a whole lot from Cello. I understand why they're doing what they're doing. They're continuing to build. They've been working with the World Economic Forum, but they're not going to put out a whole lot of news right now because they want to lay low. Crypto is under attack, right? So they're building quietly. Same thing with Stellar. Stellar was putting out so many big announcements last year. It was unbelievable, right? This year they put out a lot of good stuff, but nothing that's huge. Why? Because they see what's happening during this so-called crypto winter. A lot of entities, a lot of regulatory bodies are taking this opportunity while crypto is weak to exploit crypto and to dominate crypto, right? So they don't want that to happen. So they're just laying low for a while. It doesn't matter what clarity you have from other governmental regulators. SEC, for instance, does not care. Ripple achieved clarity with a few governmental entities. SEC did not care. Stellar has clarity with a few, but here another thing, they have very close ties with the government also, so that does help. But you have to be careful. You don't want to ever be foolish. So that's why I see the pullback. I believe there's a pullback in information. You get another bull market and crypto is doing well, crypto becomes sort of untouchable for a while again, right? But hopefully we achieve regulatory clarity, and with that, prices will explode. But that's what I think about that tweet there. It's very good progress, and they're letting you know, hey, we're still building, we're doing a good job. Keep in mind also, Stellar Foundation is not the biggest reason why XLM will take off. XLM being like highly decentralized. IBM is there, Lightnet is there. There's a few other actors out there, but I'm waiting for them to do a little bit more before I start talking about them. But they will be the reasons why XLM's price explodes, right? Remember, Tala was utilizing XLM in conjunction with Visa, right, for cross-border payments, such like that. And I know Visa is building other things. They have other projects. They were also utilizing HBAR or building on Hedera at one time. I don't know what's come of that. We have to get updates on that. So you have a bevy of entities building on XLM, doing a good job, and hopefully it'll continue to do that. And there hasn't been any changes that I've seen significant whatsoever. So unless they tell me a negative, then I'm going to take it that everything's continued to go good. And as you see, they continue to put out good information. So everything in its own time. This is a very, very big puzzle to view and to see all of the different workings going on to have security within yourself for what you hold if you choose to hold it. Also, it's always up to you what you choose to hold. Remember, on this channel, I'm not here to convince you to buy this or that. Not at all. Not at all. You have to do what's best for you. I simply am sharing with everyone what I find and what I think. What they do with that is up to them. Let's continue on here. So we have another tweet here. This is from Algorand. It's from algofam.algo. It was retweeted by Algorand, and it says, Bank of Italy, one of 3 central banks managing the European banking payment system, has devised a solution to have safe exchanges between the Euro banking circuit and central bank money and any digital asset on the Algorand public network. This is better than many CBDC projects for public blockchains, not simply creating a private centralized network for a CBDC, but a direct and safe usage of the public network. Of course, this was possible on Algorand. So we just saw Algorand release a massive tweet that they're being utilized by the Bank of Italy. Okay, now whether they're going to actually use that for CBDC and what to extent they're going to be using Algorand, who knows? But they ran the successful test. Okay, that is huge. And here we have more banks utilizing Algorand. This is big news. Now, you saw how Algorand went parabolic last year, just off of retail. What happens to that price of algo once central banks and commercial banks begin using it? That price is going to raise. That price is going to raise. Okay, it's going to explode, in my humble opinion. And I think Algorand, listen, there's a few assets that had great volatility last year. If you were paying attention to Algorand, if you were paying attention to Cello has a very low circulating supply for a bank coin. Those are assets where they take off rapidly once they're in use, once people are purchasing them. Great volatility. They're a great way to make money. Well, they were a great way to make money. We keep our eye on these things, and if anything changes, then we will adjust, right? But this is great things happening for Algorand, in my humble opinion. Also, they had their Envision Racing. They made the podium again. So they have Algorand across their racing suit. They have Algorand on their racing car. This is great advertisement. That's another way that Algorand has been winning. So as corridors expand, as advertisement expands, obviously there's going to be the potentiality for the money to increase when there's another bull market, right? That's just how things go. So now let's move on to a tweet here. This is from the HBAR Foundation, minting a 10K Hedera NFT collection on the carbon negative at Hedera network always costs $76.80 due to the nature of Hedera's fixed fees. This is one of the biggest reasons why I believe Hedera is going to absolutely dominate. They're already beginning to dominate when it comes to the NFT sphere. A lot of big companies are going to be utilizing HBAR. You look at their governing council, Google, Boeing, FIS, right? If these companies push HBAR even a little bit, that price is going to skyrocket. Everyone's going to want to release NFTs on 2 platforms, I believe. Hedera and Algorand are going to be the biggest NFT winners, especially as people are leaving Ethereum already and they're going over to places like Algorand. You saw the tweets that they released yesterday about a bevy of projects that moved over to Algorand from Ethereum. And I believe the same thing is occurring with Hedera and will continue to occur. That price is going to skyrocket. If you look at the last bull market, you saw there was good volatility in Hedera price. Now, it didn't skyrocket or move too much, but there was very, very good volatility, right? You can get 8 to 10 cent changes like in minutes, right? So, and people hold a ton of HBAR. So as they're expanding, they're advertising more. They've been doing a great job advertising. More and more people are getting to know what Hedera is. So now when the next bull run starts, they may want to get into something like that because Hedera is backed by entities that they trust. Google, for example, people like Google. They trust Google. They're in the stock market. They know about Google, right? So if Google says that this is good, people are going to listen and they're going to buy in. And so anyway, that's just one example. They have a myriad of different businesses that are very powerful backing Hedera. Not only that, Hedera has been working with a myriad of banks. So I think that HBAR will do an amazing job in the next bull run. In just my humble opinion. I could be completely wrong. Let's move on to here. So also when it comes to Hedera, we have another tweet from the HBAR Foundation. It says, bringing CRM to Web3 at Sale Finance have created ORM, owner relationship management ecosystem with partners including L'Oreal Group, at Procter Gamble, and Hendrix Gin. Major companies. Every time Hedera releases information on companies they're working with, these are major companies. Now imagine with the regulatory clarity, these types of companies, which this is just a few, there's much more. These types of companies start using HBAR en masse to move fiat back and forth for traceability, smart contracts, right? Just think about what it will do to that price. Does the price stay where it is today? Absolutely not. In my humble opinion, absolutely not. This is not logical. This is why a lot of people love HBAR and they're calling HBAR the new king and things of that nature. Now, I would disagree with that. I still think the chosen three are at the top, in my humble opinion. XRP, XLM, and Algorand are the chosen three. They are the ones that have the closest ties with governments and such like that. But what I'm saying is people are saying that HBAR is the new king because of all of these different massive connections, right? However, when you look at something like, let's say, XRP, where they have like over 400 to 500 financial institutions signed up, is one of those numbers. I keep seeing both of those numbers thrown around. So hopefully we get some clarity on what's the exact number in the future. It's only going to increase, but they have so many large financial institutions signed up. It's unbelievable. The only entity that rivals the amount of financial institution relationships that Ripple has is Quant. That's it. Only Quant rivals them. At one time, it was Stellar was rising up. They look through IBM. And IBM in building on Stellar Protocol. That's what they said. All right. We don't know to what capacity they're going to be using it, but they had built a lot of their infrastructures, worldwide, cross-border payments, things of that nature on the Stellar Protocol XLM. Right. And they had, what did they say? How many? They had like a good portion of the top banks in the world utilize IBM. So they're already, they already have a hand-in-hand relationship with large banks. So Stellar was there at one time as like the number 2 as far as how many different financial institutions and large financial institutions and banks might use XLM Stellar, right? And like I said, we'll adjust as time goes on. But when Quant, when I found that information on SIA Chain and SIA Partners, I gave all of that to you. That changed everything in my opinion. That's 500 solid banks, and they're only increasing that. That's what I love about Quant, in my humble opinion. And that's when I say, yep, it's time to start talking about Quant. I keep quiet until I feel like there's significant information to cover. If there's not significant information to cover, I'm not going to say anything because my words would be empty. But that's why people love Hedera, holding Hedera HBAR. So let's go here. And speaking of Quant, we have an article here. It says, Fast Company using digital currencies to unlock a continent. This is more. They continue to highlight the advances of LAC chain and different developing nations that they're working with. Quant is going to explode. And yes, circulating supply definitely matters hugely. What is it like? There's only like 13 million Quant. You saw where their price was last year. Last year, December, what was the all-time high? Was like $420. People this time around, at least around the time I started really heavily covering Quant, they were buying tons of Quant at $40, $41. Now Quant is around $100. They already made a disgusting profit. Already. Now just imagine where the price could go because of that circulating supply and because of utility when all of these different companies start buying Quant en masse, because Quant has to be utilized, QNT has to be utilized for transaction fees. But then if you're going to use QNT for transaction fees, why wouldn't you also want to make a little bit of money off of that, right? Because if you're going to use it for transaction fees, you're going to hold a little bit. But as you're holding, if I was a company, I hold a good amount, in my humble opinion, because I know that price is going to skyrocket. They're going to know the potentiality of the price because they have individuals that brief them. They come in and say, here's what we learned about this product. This is why we're going to use it. Here's all the crucial information you need to know. That's going to be a part of it. So here, let's just read this little tidbit here. It says the BRIC economies were once tipped to reshape the global financial landscape, but Brazil and the rest of Latin America's potential have yet to be fully realized. LAC Chain, a pan-regional blockchain program run by the International Development Bank, has stepped in, working with Quant. I could stop right there. There's so many banks working with Quant. Let me say it again. Run by the International Development Bank. They just continuously are adding banks to the utilization of Quant. I probably didn't say that correctly, but doing the best that I can, everyone. I appreciate you being here. Look, this is a beautiful time to be alive, in my humble opinion. Everything's going to take time. Long holders have to have patience and a heart of steel, of iron. I don't control what other people do. I know what I hold. I'm holding to the end. None of my positions when it comes to the bank coins has changed whatsoever. I haven't sold a single bank coin. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm here till the end. Okay. So you never have to worry about Alphaneem. Alphaneem was talking about this crypto. Now he doesn't. Have no concern. I believe in the projects 100%. When I believe in something, I'm willing to live for it and I'm willing to die for it. That doesn't change. I am what I have become. Right? And I'm not a day trader, so I don't daily trade cryptos and things of that nature and stuff like that. Like, look, I will when the bull market returns. If I see a good project that can be some money can be made on, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to look for catalysts meticulously. I'm going to jump in at that moment. Boom, make a purchase, wait for that price to go up, boom, and I'm going to take profits off of that. That's not going to be the bank coins whatsoever. Projects I believe in and I'm long holding. You all know what those are. The bank coin family. Everything else, I really don't care about all of that stuff like that. So you never have to worry about Alphaneem. That doesn't change. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.